Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy Jamin and Lookout. Today we are back with another video. Now look, y'all know the vibes, man. Before we get to anything, appreciate all y'all for love support. You already know the vibes, man. Glove motion, all 2026 shot. Now look, man, I told y'all I had a football video on the way, and this is gonna be a long video. I'm just let that be known right now before we get into it. This is gonna be a very long video. It's time to talk Steelers and quick great not just a quick update, but a update to where like how I feel about things going on. Let's start off with first Mike Tomlin stepping down as the coach. It was really surprising to me that how we went out, like how we lost to Houston. But seeing Tomlin step down, it still kind of doesn't feel real. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know if y'all know this, but Tomlin has been the coach ever since I was like 4 years old. So he's literally the only coach that I know, as a diehard fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now we know about Bill Cowher, but when I was young and watching play, it was Tomlin was always the coach, right? So seeing him step down, again, the guy's this is not something we're gonna glaze Mike Tomlin, but just give him, Tomlin's a Hall of Fame head coach. He's a hell of a head coach. I will never forget when Ben Roethlisberger had that 2019 shoulder injury, and we had Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges, and I think even Mason suffered an injury, and we had Duck Hodges, and Tomlin didn't have a losing season in that year, so that really showed me a lot of what Tomlin really can be as a coach, and how the guys, he's a great coach, but it's just time that the way how football is played, right, and the way how overall offense and defense works. Clearly, this game, not only when we talk about the coaching, but the speed of these type of adjustments and things to where you can adapt to is you gotta have the right mind in, and I just think the Steelers needed just the overall restart, and when Tomlin stepped down, you also had Arthur Smith go back to college, which Arthur Smith, I've been saying this before before the season even started, that I never understood why we brought Arthur Smith back. I understand the organization wanted to run the football and Arthur Smith loves running the football, but just the three tight end sets to me was going to be an issue, which is why I never wanted to trade George Pickens, because last year, meaning like the year when we 2024 or whatnot, right? We all knew we needed a number two to go with GP. We go and trade for DK Metcalf, and then we find ourselves trading GP after the draft, not getting his replacement, by the way. And we have Roman Wilson, who was basically just had his rookie year this year, and he really, in my opinion, it was an up and down season. We don't know if he has beef with Aaron Rodgers, but I don't know. He didn't have the best season. As obviously as a fan that we wanted to see him, make an impact. But we're getting off track here. But like I said, Tomlin's staff to me was also a big part of the problem. We just talked about Arthur Smith, who's no longer in the NFL. He's signed with Ohio State or something like that. Danny Smith, older guy, respect to the whole entire staff, but it's like it was just time to move on. I know a lot of people are gonna say like, nah, I didn't agree with the Danny Smith, leaving, but if y'all gotta look at it from this standpoint. We have seen this same story for how long? To where you gotta make changes. You can't just keep running it back and hoping for change. You have to make changes. Now, I will say this: the day when I found out, right, and I'm not gonna lie, and I found out Tomlin stepped down, I was kind of rattled. I had my pops calling me, my stepdad, we talking. He was like, "What do you think we gonna do?" Right? It's like I'm rattled because as a fan, I've never been in this situation to where like the Steelers gonna have to bring in a new coach. So like I was rattled. I was like, this could either go really good or really bad. And I wanted us to go get a young guy, right? Pause. I wanted a young-minded head coach, just like how when they brought in Tomlin when he was young. I wanted a young mind because today, and like I said, in my opinion, how the NFL is played, You need somebody that understands how this game is. And I'm not saying Tomlin doesn't understand it, but Tomlin's more of let's play safe and let's, we got all this money on the defense side of the ball and we gonna win this game, right? But clearly that isn't winning a playoff game, and it just hasn't worked. And is it all Tomlin's fault? No, because Kenny Pickett, in my opinion, he was a bust. That whole entire draft class of quarterbacks was not good. Now, yes, you can say Malik Willis just got paid, and he's clearly not a bust. He was a project. We needed a quarterback that was ready to play, and Kenny Pickett clearly wasn't ready to play, nor was Malik Willis at the time. And I just feel like that set the offense back, including it led us to losing George Pickens because he was not able to being able to get utilized with one, poor quarterback play, two, horrendous play calling, and three, he didn't have no number two. If you're gonna say Calvin Austin, I consider Calvin Austin as number three. I've said that multiple times, and I hope we resign Calvin Austin. Now, getting back to what I was talking about with the quarterback situation, because like I was saying, I just feel like Tomlin didn't have the things he needed in order to let's go in the playoffs and win. Like when we had the Killer B era, it was a lot of, we knew the offense is gonna be able to keep us in the game. Now it's like we flip flop. Now it's like we don't even know if we're gonna get a first down. But back to what I was saying, like, to me, you just couldn't just keep running in the back. You had to make a move. And I think Tom was like, you know what? I think it's just best that I just step down and y'all go in a different route. Now, the route that we chose to go, and I kid you guys not, and I'm not lying when I say this, okay? Guys, I wouldn't even forget this day. I'm seeing reports of, the rumor was on the, out there that we were going to get Shula, the guy on the Rams. I think he was their defensive coordinator or something like that. It was either Shula or the Rams offensive assistant or offensive coordinator or something like that. And I was like, okay, those guys are young, like, why not, right? Then you hear this situation of, well, what about Mike McCarthy? He grew up in Pittsburgh or whatever they were saying. He has the connection with Omar because they used to both have some similarities or partnering in another team. I think it was the New Orleans Saints or something like that, to where Omar was the GM or assistant or something like that, and Mike McCarthy was an assistant. And I was like, there's no way that they go bring in another, coach up to the age to where, this team isn't, a Tomlin. Like, to me, the team we had arguably shouldn't even made the playoffs, because how the offense looked was really bad. It was just an up and down season, and we still didn't have no true number two. So it's like, I wanted us to go and, if we have a losing season, okay, it is what it is. You're just giving this young-minded new coach that you're bringing in, a chance for him to do what he wants. I took a nap that day, okay? Matter of fact, it was like a couple of days. I took a nap, and I look at my phone, and I go on Twitter, right? At first, no, I think I went on Instagram at first. Twitter, you was already seeing the rumors of the Steelers are gonna just sign Mike McCarthy. I'm like, I'm not believing it. They're gonna sign they're gonna sign a young coach, right? And when I find out on Instagram that the NFL actually posted that we were signing Mike McCarthy, it literally ruined my day. And that's not a disrespect to Mike McCarthy. This is just how I felt about us going that route. Okay? I wanted a young coach because clearly, like I said, we needed to adapt. We needed new energy, and not even new energy. We just needed new play calling. We just needed a restart, right? I don't even want to say energy because we talk about a coach like Tomlin. He always kept his players and coaches focused, and they never once, in my opinion, didn't believe in him, right? So I won't say even energy. I would just say how, like I said, the game is played to where you're being aggressive. You're not just playing this, like we're gonna play smart. We're gonna just find a way, just win the game. And yes, the goal is to win. But when you're in a playoff game, you have to not only win, but you have to show why you belong. And like I said, the way how our team looked, clearly this team isn't a so-called aging quarterback away from a Super Bowl run, right? Which is why I don't want another aging quarterback. A lot of y'all are gonna say, well, Aaron Rodgers didn't look too bad, and he had a decent season. That's your opinion, okay? Me personally, we're in the AFC North. This division isn't getting any easier, okay? Thankfully, which I'm disappointed. I really wanted the Ravens to make that deal because they were giving up 2 first-round picks. But we'll talk about that later. I'm getting off task. The point is, the AFC North is, it's not a soft division, okay? You got a lot of talent all over the division, and to me, you needed fresh legs. Not saying Aaron Rodgers never was mobile. Clearly he was. Clearly the guy's 42, 43 years old. He just cannot move in the pocket. He's a statue in the pocket now. So I don't like seeing that. I mean, for example, when you go back and you look at that game against Houston, to where it was like 2nd and 5 or 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 4, with a mobile quarterback, you can potentially get a first down. With Aaron Rodgers, it's either he's gonna throw the ball away or he's getting he's getting taken down by Houston, right? So it's like, and Tomlin knows, like, okay, like, yo, like, this is what we just gonna trust what Aaron Rodgers is, right? And this is like what he is now is what he is now. He's a quarterback that you have to have a good offensive line, you have to have playmakers around him, and you have to have a shutdown defense. And to me, we were lacking those things, and we were lacking coaching, and we were lacking talent. Now, like I said, I don't blame it all on Tomlin. Now, let me get to the Mike McCarthy approach on how I look at it. At first, I literally had a meme on my phone that I seen. I think somebody shared it on Twitter, and it was like me having a great day, and then it was a dude punching somebody in the face, basically punching Steelers fans in the face, basically by saying the Steelers will just ruin your day. I'm not gonna lie, that when I seen that we signed Mike McCarthy, it did ruin my day, because I did not want another old coach like I just told y'all. Now the positives about Mike McCarthy: this guy is an offensive minded guy. He is technically what we need to focus on, which is offense. He's not. He's pretty much like Mike Tomlin, but he's offensive minded. They're really the same. Like their styles of, and like how their success and everything is. It's really similar. Now, obviously, Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season, which to me alone will get him in the Hall of Fame, which is well respected, right? Well deserved. Not every coach was able to. Bill Belichick didn't even do that. You know what I'm saying? So Tomlin definitely will get in the Hall of Fame for that. I understand that Bill Belichick, for some reason, was not put in the Hall of Fame yet, but I think Tomlin never having a losing season, that's different. Okay, I mean, 19 seasons, never had a losing season, no matter what it was. So you got to give him props to that. But like I was saying, the thing with Mike McCarthy is he's an offensive guy. So if we are looking to give a guy like Will Howard a real chance or a real shot, do I trust Mike McCarthy? Kind of. But, after seeing, I need to see more of what is, like, I understand that he runs a West Coast, because people keep telling me, like, yo, Mike McCarthy is a West Coast type of guy, so us not targeting the middle of the field, us not throwing the ball down the field, he's going to do those things. That alone is exciting, because, like, if you are a true Steelers fan and you watch these games, the Steelers' offense has been really disappointing. Not even just talent-wise, but play-calling-wise, and it's exactly why George Pickens probably wanted out. Because, I mean, just look at the difference when he's in Dallas. And I'm not saying that, he had, major success, but clearly he just had, the best season of his career so far. He had 9 touchdowns, 1,000 yards, things like that. Yeah, Dallas didn't win anything, but, he still was able to make an impact. So it was clearly a difference. But I will say this. If Mike McCarthy can develop something with Will Howard, my whole opinion changes, right? Simply because, one, I want to see Will Howard play, right? I know a lot of y'all are going to say, like, no, bring in a Kyler Murray or bring in a Kirk Cousins or re-sign Aaron Rodgers. Guys, have we not seen that story for how many times? What was the outcome of those times where we signed those aging quarterbacks? We just seen a Russell Wilson, right? First round exit, right? One and done. Okay, we literally seen how those situations play out. So I'm to the point, and we just seen the New England Patriots go from like they were tanking to being in the Super Bowl. Now, did they win the Super Bowl? No, they got destroyed by a very elite Seattle defense. Okay, but the point is, everybody thought they were done when Belichick left them and went to college, and everybody thought they were gonna be on a downfall, and they were just back in the Super Bowl. I just want to see my team win a playoff game. Can we get to that step? Okay, so I understand that a lot of people like, oh well, we don't want some of y'all don't want Will Howard because you think you don't want to have a losing season, or but it's like at this point, guys, what other choices do we have? To me, I'm not really interested in Kyler Murray because one, he's a short quarterback, and it's not that he doesn't have the talent. Russell Wilson couldn't really throw across the middle. He just had the moon ball, right? And I believe that was because of his height. It was an issue. Um, but yeah, and then the play calling wasn't there as well with Arthur Smith. But it's like, do you really want to bring in Kyler Murray? Do you really want to do that? Do you really want to bring in Kirk Cousins? Do you really want to bring back Aaron Rodgers? Or are you just willing to realize, okay, let's try to see what Will Howard can do. I just want to at least, can we at least see what Will Howard, what can he do, right? Because if we're just saying like, oh nah, don't play Will Howard, it's like, okay, then what if the guy's good and we never knew? That's kind of like a waste of a draft pick. And I truly think, because I've been watching film, and I watched where he had that video where he was talking to Gruden or somebody, and he was breaking down the defenses. He was reading the defense, all that stuff. He was calling plays. The kid really wants to learn, and I'm saying the kid like we're not the same age. I'm pretty sure we're the same age, me and Will Howard. But it's like the guy really wants to learn the position and get better, right? He's willing to learn. Anytime you have somebody willing to learn, to me, they have really good potential. I'm not saying Will Howard is the guy, but we don't even know. Maybe he is. We don't know. My point is, what if he is the guy? Now your quarterback situation, you fixed it, right? You're not this team that's going to sign ancient quarterback, and I'm not saying ancient like they're like 50, but a quarterback that clearly is not what they used to be. To where you have a guy like Will Howard who's 6'4". I think he's built like Josh Allen. The guy can run. I'm saying the kid. The guy can run. Why not give him a shot? I believe if you surround him with talent, and yes, I'm gonna talk about bringing in Pittman and Jamel Dean and all of that. We'll talk about that in a minute. If you can surround I keep saying kid. If you can surround Will Howard with talent, I truly believe he can have success. Now, you can have the same argument for any quarterback, but if you look at a guy like Anthony Richardson, who's had Alex Pierce, Michael Pittman, and didn't they just draft that tight end? Forgot his name. And you see how he's played. It's not all about the talent. The quarterback has to also do his part too. So I believe Will Howard, him having the right mindset, him wanting to understand the defenses and understand the play calls, and just wanting to just learn, like that's very exciting to me. Now when we made a trade for Michael Pittman Jr., first initial reaction, I was shocked, but I wasn't. It wasn't like a shock of like, yo, like we got Michael Pittman. It was Omar really went out there and tried to actually go get us another receiver. Like instead of like going into a free agent, and trying to pick up somebody that's like clearly not what they used to be. Like us going to get Adam Thielen, who clearly retired after this year, which shout out to him for having a successful NFL career, right? My whole point is, and then I think we gave up a late round pick or something like that, and the NFL just gave us like 12, like no, they gave us three free picks for compensate or something like that. So I believe we now have 12 picks. We just traded one away for Michael Pittman Jr. I'm excited for it, but I've already told people, yo, look, if I'm at pick 21 and Jordan Tyson is available, I'm going Jordan Tyson. or if even Cardinal Tate's available, I might go. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and say, "Yo, we're good on receiver," because correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't Michael Pittman Jr. 28 years old? So it's like, yeah, you got help, but I've been saying I want young talent. Okay, I want, especially when they traded away George Pickens, who's, I think he's 1 year older than me or a couple months older than me. The guy was a star. I keep saying the kid. The dude was a star, bro. You know what I'm saying? The dude was a star in the making. It, like, every real Steelers fans knew that. We just didn't have the pieces. We didn't have the quarterback. We didn't have the play calling, right? We didn't have the right coaching. So, like I said, if I'm at pick 21, and like I said, Jordan Tyson's there or Carnell Tate's there, I'm still going that direction. Now, if pick 21, what I would want, because now we're getting into the draft talk, but before we get into the draft talk, let's also cover this. Terrell Austin, obviously, because Tomlin stepped down. I believe his whole entire staff, they moved on. Well, most of them moved on, yeah. So Terrell Austin is finally gone, which thankfully, and again, it's nothing personal. It's just time to move on. We already talked about Danny Smith, the running backs coach. I mean, pretty much. Tomlin's entire staff just moved on. So that excuse of the coaching, we got a whole new coaching staff. Okay, um, and I think we signed Patrick Graham as our defensive coordinator. Now, I've been hearing a lot of Raiders fans saying like he's a really good coach or he's a solid defensive coordinator. We'll see. I mean, like Terrell Austin be around in this organization in this franchise for what he was around. He used to be the DB's coach, and they promoted him to defense coordinator. Even though that some of y'all gonna say Tomlin was calling the plays, I was never a fan of Terrell Austin, bro. Okay, he just, to me, it was too much zone coverage, and I understand that when you have guys like T.J. Watt and Alex Highsmith and Cam Hayward and Nick Herbig, that you're gonna play zone sometimes, right? But on a lot of plays, it's like, yo, it's 3rd and 2. Why are you playing zone? All the other receiving team did was run the route and turn and first down. So to me, like, again, it's a situation to where I just felt like our coaching was behind. We didn't want to, it's like we're playing safe. Like, to me, we played a lot of safe football. And you kind of, like, again, is it winning? Yes, but to win playoff games, you gotta be aggressive. You gotta go out there, like I said, and show why you belong, why your team is there. You can't keep with this narrative of, well, let's just play safe. And it's not a knock to Tomlin or anything. It's just the NFL has changed, bro. We have to be able to put up points. Like, even a team like Seattle. I know I'm getting off track here, but I'm just using them as an example. Seattle doesn't have the greatest offense, right? You can have the argument that we should have beat Seattle in the regular season, um, but their defense was just elite, right? To where they had the right coaching. They had a team to where they didn't need the superstar quarterback, right? They just played smart. They had young talent. You know, they found a way to get it done without having to do the most. Now, yes, they signed Sam Darnold to that contract, but we can all have this agreement. Sam Darnold is not a franchise guy. He's a guy that you have to have in the right system, in my opinion. And if you put him in the right system, he can make plays, which we clearly saw that. But like I was saying, getting back to the Patrick Graham, if what I will say is this, I want to see T.J. Watt move around. If Patrick Graham is going to be able to do that, that'll be phenomenal. Now, the rumor is that TJ doesn't want to move around, right? Because even the commentators will say during the games that, like, TJ Watt needs to move around because teams just run the ball away from him, right? To where he's not able to make the play. Now, if that was the case, then TJ, I mean, you gotta understand, which I'm pretty sure he does. So I don't know if I'm gonna believe that or anything, right? So we'll see. But my thing is, I just want to see this team get with today's style of football. And what I mean by that is aggressive, understanding when to call a play and understanding how to utilize your players. And again, it's not saying that Tomlin didn't know how to do that, but it's like the style of yo, let's just play safe. It just wasn't working. Okay, so it's just time to go in a different direction. But it's like I'm very excited to see what this team is gonna do. Even though, like I said, when we brought in Mike McCarthy, it kind of ruined my day because I wanted a young coach. But now that we went out there and traded for Michael Pittman Jr., which to me is he a number one? You know, you could have the argument he can play as your number one, but he's definitely gonna help DK Metcalf. Finally, instead of teams just doubling DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman, you know, has had a very solid NFL career. The guy's only 28. I believe we signed him to another contract, by the way, because we did only give up a late round pick for him, and the Colts were just going to get rid of him. So we was like, nah, we'll just take him real quick and we'll give him a new deal, right? So I'm excited for that. Now, when we talk about what this team needs, okay, you could have a discussion of a lot. And this is what I need real Steelers fans to understand of we're not just a quarterback away from being a Super Bowl team. We're not, okay? Uh, One, the offense is still lacking talent, okay? We just lost Kenneth Gainwell. I understand we just brought in Rico Dowdle. You still have Jalen Warren. So I'm going to be excited about that as well. Um, but it's like, okay, is Mike McCarthy going to be able to utilize these guys, right? Which I hope he is, because he's going to be the one calling the plays, which I think is going to be the first time. And this is nothing why it's going to be weird to me, because I've never seen, again, like I said, Tom's always been the coach. Um, for as far as I'm concerned, like me watching this football team. But it's like seeing Mike McCarthy, seeing the head coach alone call the offensive plays, it's gonna be, you know, you're gonna have to get used to that, because I've, like I said, I'm not used to seeing it. I'm used to us having an offense coordinator, they're calling the plays or something like that. Now that you're gonna have Mike McCarthy sitting there with a play call sheet, it's like, okay, the offense better do something. You see what I'm saying? Because that's what he is. He's an offensive minded guy. But we'll see. Now he's also been saying that, and we'll get to the needs in a minute, because we did address corner, and I'm glad we brought back um, Asante Samuel Jr. in a free agency. I'm glad we did that, because I really liked how he played when he was with us. We did lose James Pierre. We did lose Kenneth Gainwell. We did get Jamel Dean, who, you know, hopefully he can stay healthy, because he is 29, I believe. So, and that's nothing. Like, when I get into this team has needs, I truly believe we need another shutdown corner. Now, JPJ, aka Joey Porter Jr., he had you could argue, an all-pro, Pro Bowl season, but for some reason the NFL act like it didn't happen. Which I think he's gonna be. I think he is a shutdown. Okay, the way he played, even in that playoff game, Nico Collins didn't even do anything really. It was, we didn't have no offense, and we gave up big plays to Christian Kirk, if I'm correct, or if it was either Christian Kirk or it was the rookie receivers or somebody like that. Um, but yeah, if we could find a way to get another corner to pair with JPJ, that'd be phenomenal. But like I said, if you don't, you still have Jamel Dean, you still have Asante Samuel, so and hopefully Corey Trice can stay healthy, because he's had a, you know, very, you know, I won't even say he's had an up and down career. He hasn't really been able to be on the field because he's been dealing with injuries, and it's sad because on his scouting, and I know I'm jumping from thing to thing, but I'm just trying to, you know, like I said, say how I feel about this team right now. On his scouting, when we drafted him, it literally said that Corey Trice is a really good corner. He just injury prone. Okay, so that was the issue with that. Now, when I talk about needs and the direction this team could really go, at pick 21, let's start with that. Pick 21. I really just want us to get a player that can help us day one. I look at the first round like that's a round that when you draft a player in that round, that player has to be an instant impact to your team. It shouldn't be a project, in my opinion. Now, can it be a project? Yes. I mean, clearly a guy like Kenny Pickett, you know, he wasn't a project, but he was supposed to be, right? Well, no, he was really supposed to be ready. That's why they drafted him in the first round. But my point is, we've had players to where they get drafted first. They're supposed to be like a project, and I want a guy that's ready right now. Kenny Pickett was supposed to be ready right now, and I don't know what happened to him. A lot of people at first I thought it was Matt Canada, but when you saw how Kenny Pickett played, it was like, nah, bro, Kenny, like you're missing some of these throws, and it was on Kenny. So it's like, yo, we gotta get somebody that can make an instant impact. Now, if it's an offensive lineman, if it's a defensive tackle, I personally want a wide receiver. Um, like I said, a Jordan Tyson if he's available, a Carnell Tate if he's available, even a Denzel Boston. Which I was watching a combine and he did pretty solid. Or even a Jacoby Lane. I've been doing a lot of scouting. I wouldn't mind having a Ted Hurst as well. Ted Hurst, a tall guy, got decent speed. His catch radius is, underrated in my opinion. Just gotta just get better on the routes. I think that's what he needed. I think that's what people were saying is he's not really a route runner, but he's a tall guy. I'm really interested in that. Now for the first round, I just told you what I wanted. Instant impact. But they could go offensive line. I just don't want us to reach. Now on these boards, we don't know who the Steelers have on their board and where they have them as far as the grade or what round they're going to get selected in. But I just don't want another Terrell Edmonds type of first round to where, not saying Terrell Edmonds, was a bad player, but he really shouldn't have been in the first round. If we're now looking at how everything played out, Edmonds was more of a day two pick. Probably low second round or even high third round. He wasn't, he shouldn't I can't even talk correctly. He shouldn't have been a first round pick. We did it because we lost Ryan Shazier, unfortunately. And we was trying to, fix that by getting a guy like Terrell Edmonds, who was an athletic safety, who was really an athletic box safety, who was making plays at Virginia Tech. That didn't work out, and then we went and traded up for Devin Bush, which that didn't work out either. So it's like this organization has had, some times where they've made certain picks and certain moves, and it hasn't really played out the best we would want it to play out. But I will say this: I need this team to get at least 2 wide receivers in the draft. Now I know a lot of looking to say, well, bro, we just brought in Michael Pittman. Gang, I just told y'all. Me personally, I want young talent. This receiving room is not just get Michael Pittman and have DK, and we don't even know if Calvin Austin's coming back. Now, Calvin Austin did say on his TikTok or his social media that he would love to return to Pittsburgh or something like that. So we'll see. Now, I did see that he did sign with a new agent, if I'm correct. I don't know if that was true or not. I believe he did. So maybe he's trying to get some money, but I would like to have Calvin Austin back. But yeah, like I said, I want to, I would love 2 wide receivers in this draft. Just at least show me or show the fan base that, look, we tried to upgrade this position, okay? We attempted to do it. Don't just draft one and say, look, okay, we drafted the receiver, we're done here. No, like if you can somehow get like a Jacoby Lane, or let's say for example Jordan Tyson's at pick 21. Now I've been doing some scouting and I've been watching film. Jordan Tyson to me is the best wide receiver in this draft class, in my opinion. I think he has the highest ceiling. You talk about route run, you talk about catching the football, you talk about yards after catch. Jordan Tyson has all those abilities. It's just that people are concerned if he can stay healthy. If he falls to pick 21, it's not even a question who we need to pick. Because I'm looking at if this guy can, it's the same thing with George Pickens. Everybody was saying, we all knew about his people were saying he had the character issues or whatever it was, and then he also had the ACL injuries at Georgia or something like that. But when you see when GP was healthy, GP was a top 10. Talent wise, top 5. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's all there. Pause because that sounds kind of crazy, but y'all know what I'm saying. Like, when the guy is healthy, he's a problem, right? He's a star, really. Which real Steelers fans knew that. So I'm looking at if Jordan Tyson's at pick 21 and teams are like, we're not picking Jordan Tyson. To me, the draft's in Pittsburgh. You take Jordan Tyson because if he can stay healthy, you have a in my opinion, you're gonna have a star at wide receiver, and you're gonna have it's gonna be trouble because you just traded for Michael Pittman, right? You still have DK Metcalf, who's 28 years old, if I'm correct. If you bring in a Jordan Tyson and he can stay healthy, you talk about an offense of talent like that might be scary for real, right? But we'll see how everything plays out. Like I said, I've been doing a lot of scouting. I've been seeing a lot of these guys like if Jacoby Lane, which he had a really good combine. Like a lot of these guys, to me, I mean, like I said, we don't know what round they're gonna get picked in. We don't know the draft grade these teams have, so we'll see. But I've been doing some film and I've been looking at some corners too, and it's like, yo, if this guy's there, I mean, I wouldn't be upset. Now, D'Angelo Pons, I don't know, because I believe he's 5'9". Maybe he'd be good for the slot, and it's not a knock to him. It's just how the game is played today. You have a lot of these people that are athletes, and they're tall and it's like they're made in the lab. Pause, but it's like if we were to take like a D'Angelo Pons, I wouldn't be upset. It's just where are you gonna play him at? If you play him at the where he's supposed to be played at, okay, I'll be okay with it. But I don't want to see him on the outside going up against T Higgins and it's not saying that he can't cover the guy, because when you're in the professional sports, the size doesn't really matter. If the player has the talent, it's gonna show. But I just feel like putting the players in the right position. Like when we had Mike Hilton was a beast in the slot. Now, could Mike Hilton play outside if you needed him to? Yeah, maybe he could go out there a few times. But when Mike Hilton was at his best was in the slot, right? And he was another corner I think he was undrafted, by the way, to where, he was the undersized guy, but you play him where he's supposed to be played at, and he's going to be making plays for you. So I wouldn't be upset with that. But yeah, y'all, I mean, I feel like this team, they can't really disappoint me anymore. The next thing that would disappoint me is bringing back either Aaron Rodgers or signing Kirk Cousins. Because it's like, yo, how many times have I seen this story? And how many times do I have to see the same outcome or the same results? Which is why, again, I wanted a young-minded coach, okay? Somebody that's like, like they're new, give them an opportunity to build the team up, right? Or go in a different direction. Now, a lot of people are saying we need to trade TJ Watt. I'm going to say this, y'all. I disagree. Now, I know what y'all are looking at from a standpoint of, like, bro, like, he didn't have the most elite seasons like last year. But if we pay attention, right, this team's problem wasn't really defense. It was the fact that we had no offense. The defense is on the field, which I look at our last two playoff games, correct? Derrick Henry ran all over us. The other one, we get all of that. But we also had no offensive threat whatsoever, right? You didn't have a number two in that playoff game. You just had GP, which he did score a touchdown in that game, right? You had Russell Wilson, who he's not really mobile anymore. So it's like those games you didn't have offensive firepower. You didn't have what you needed in order to go out there and win that game. You did not. Now, people might disagree, but like I said, to me, the way how this league is played right now, the Chiefs and why they're obviously they have Patrick Mahomes, which he's already a Hall of Famer. That's not glazing, that's just a fact, right? Patrick Mahomes is a generational type of quarterback. Let's just call it what it is. But their offense is what keeps them in games. Is what I want to say. Like you can play the Chiefs and their defense. Like they're on paper, we have by just looking at the names, we have the by far better defense than the Kansas City Chiefs. But it probably wouldn't look like that because our offense is not able to give us a sustainable drive to where they're going to be able to go out there and, score a touchdown. Or it's like they're just kicking field goals. It's like eventually the defense is going to get tired, right? And I feel like that's what happened last year. Well, not last year. With the last 2 years, we played Baltimore. It was a blowout. It was ugly, right? But the offense didn't give you nothing really.
You just played against Houston at home, right? Defense forced 4 turnovers, which shout out to Nick Herbig, aka Herbo, which I hopefully we pay him as well, because he is a young rising star, and like I told you, I love having the young talent on the football team, right? So that's somebody that they need to resign as well. But it's like the defense forced 4 turnovers in that playoff game, and the offense. And I understand that the Houston Texans arguably had the number. It was they had a top 2 or top 5 defense last year with Will Anderson's and Daniel Hunter and stuff like that, and obviously their secondary of young talent, right? But we scored 0 touchdowns. Okay, mind you, we were home. I want y'all to keep a reminder. We were home against them. Okay, the defense forced 4 turnovers and we scored 0 touchdowns. That isn't, yo, we need to trade TJ Watt. That's not, yo, this is on Tom. That's on, we ain't had no offense. Now, was Tomlin the head coach? Absolutely. And I feel like that's why he stepped down, because he's like, yo, we've seen this story way too many times. It's just best I step down. Right? But it's like you cannot have a game to where, especially a playoff game, to where your defense forces 4 turnovers and you score 0 touchdowns. That can't happen. And that's what happened. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like it's not that we got to move on from TJ Watt. I don't think that's the case. I think if we had an offense, I think TJ Watt actually would have had a better season if we had a better offense. I mean, when have we seen? Could you imagine TJ Watt with the Killer B era? We probably would have won a Super Bowl by then. Like, no, seriously. We would have probably won a Super Bowl. If you're telling me TJ Watt, when we had the Killer Bees, we probably won a Super Bowl. Because he was dominant, and he still is dominant. It's just as of now, he's on the field way too long because the offense ain't giving you nothing. So, like I said, I even have these conversations with my pops. Now, my pops even thinks Alex Highsmith is the better pass rusher right now, which you could have the argument. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're both, in my opinion, really good pass rushers. But if a team calls me on draft day and says, "Yo, we'll give you a second rounder for Alex Highsmith," I might have to listen to that. Now, hear what I'm saying. I said if they say, "Yo, we'll give you a second or a third," and I'm not saying like, "Yo, a third round pick does it." I'm saying they'll say a second round pick and like a late third round pick. I'm gonna have to take that. I might have to do that. I might have to, because one, we have to pay attention to the age of Alex Highsmith, right? And a second round pick is how we got Joey Porter Jr., right? Now, again, this isn't me saying like, oh, Alex Highsmith didn't have the year. Like you can have the same argument I just had with TJ Watt. If the offense is able to give you drives where they're scoring touchdowns and it lets the defense rest, hell, maybe they both have another Pro Bowl caliber season. But it's like you haven't been seeing that, and it's like their value is starting to slip, right? So I'm looking at it like, yo, if a team says we'll give you a second and a third for Alex Hunt, which I doubt that happens, I'm gonna have to consider taking that offer. But we'll see what happens. Now, I did just see that we just resigned or we extended Cam Hayward. I'm gonna go ahead and give my reaction on this. It's cool. I mean, I understand that he's one of the leaders of the defense still, and technically he's gonna be a coach on the field. I guys like Keanu Benton, and obviously we drafted who we drafted in the first round, Derek Harmon, right? So I mean, and then you had Wyatt Black. So resigning Cam Hayward is it's cool, but it's like, okay, like you're getting up there in age, but hey, if he wants to still play, I mean, I guess. I mean, I'm not disappointed in it. Now, us resigning Cole Holcomb, uh, I was actually surprised when I seen that. Because Cole Holcomb, if I'm correct, he's been dealing with injuries, but they're probably looking at it like, well, hey, we're bringing in a new coaching staff. If he can stay healthy, maybe Cole Holcomb can give us something. And then he was probably cheap, so he probably didn't cost that much, So why not bring him back? So we'll see what happens with that. Um, and then I see we re-signed a punter, uh, we had this guy last year or something like that, but we made him. I forgot his name, but he was on. He's. Let me just. I'm gonna go on my phone and find out because clearly, me just me just trying to guess is tricky right here. I'm gonna just go ahead and say who it was. I can't remember right now. Let's see here. What's the guy's name? So we went and we re-signed Cam Johnson. Yeah, it was Cam Johnston. So yeah, that's who we went and re-signed. He was the punter. We talked about having Rico Dowdle. I think that's gonna be an underrated duo, and it's not a knock to Caleb Johnson whatsoever. Hopefully, Caleb Johnson comes in and shocks the whole entire world and says, "Yo, look, I've been in the lab. I've been in the gym. I'm gonna show y'all that I'm not some a draft pick that y'all are just gonna like just act like it never happened or something like that." Because I'm seeing a lot of people give up on Caleb Johnson. Okay, I will say this. I understand that he made the big mistake against Seattle, which, in my opinion, he should have never been back there because he's not your kick returner type of guy. Caleb Johnson's more of a he's a physical runner. You know, he has underrated speed, but he's just not a kick returner. He was not to me. He's not. That's not his game. So I didn't really put that all on him. But he didn't probably have the season that he wanted to have. Now, like I said, granted, you had guys like Kenneth Gainwell who just had a breakout year for us, right? And then he went and got paid, which people are arguing that we could have signed him to that contract. But honestly, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I think it was better that Kenneth Gainwell moved on because I'm also looking at the fact that Arthur Smith is no longer in the building, and he loved using the three tight end sets and the Darnell Washingtons who is finally getting utilized. That was the only thing that Arthur Smith did for us on offense when it comes to play calling was finding ways to get Darnell Washington involved. That was it. Other than that, the offense was still terrible in my opinion. And it wasn't even terrible, it was sad, it was boring. We weren't throwing the ball down the field, we weren't throwing the ball across the middle. Pat Fryerman with his now being underutilized, it's just been horrible. And like I said, I don't even blame it on Pat Fryerman. I just feel like the play calling is vanilla. We don't have the right pieces at the time. Now, like I said, with the way how we made some moves on offense by bringing in guys like Michael Pittman Jr. Michael Pittman Jr. and Rico Dowdle, still having Jalen Warren, still having DK Metcalf, still having potentially a Calvin Austin or even a Roman Wilson and potentially a draft pick can obviously, get other guys involved, right? So we'll see, but it's like Arthur Smith, only thing he did was utilize Darnell Washington. Um, and I still believe, especially seeing Cam Hayward getting that he signed a 3-year extension or deal, Connor Hayward will still be on the team listed as a fullback, which, he didn't, he's really a solid option if you know how to utilize him. Again, a lot of players can make plays if they're in the right position. Connor Hayward is a perfect gadget guy to where if you call the right plays, like I think it was on those tush pushes to where, they gave him the ball and you saw him able to, use his yards after, like he was, able to pick up yards and plays and get first downs. And he's a solid guy when he's in the right, situation and position to make the play. So I'm not even upset if Connor Hayward's still on this team, right? Because I know a lot of people were like, no, Connor Hayward he doesn't do anything. Well, if you have the right coaching and you have the right play calling, he can make plays. So I'm not even mad at that. Now, what else did I miss? So the Steelers they added Darnell Savage to a 1-year deal. Didn't this guy play for Green Bay, if I'm correct? I'm guessing that's a Mike McCarthy move because he played in Green Bay. I mean, my initial reaction and thoughts, it doesn't really move me. I wanted the guy from Chicago, Brisker, which I don't even think he's signed to a team yet. But I mean, Darnell Savage, what? I mean, you do need depth at the position of safety, especially when you had an injury with Deshaun Elliott last year, which he should be healthy by now. But you definitely still need depth at that position, so I'm not even mad at that. But I don't really expect Darnell Savage to get as much snaps. I expect him to be, special teams or things like that, or even just backup plays here and there. So that's how I feel about that. Let's see, a lot of people, they were saying Chuck Clark 2.0. Man, Chuck Clark had like the worst hands, bro. Pause. That sound crazy. Like Chuck Clark would have an interception, thrown right his direction, and he would always drop the ball. I mean, every single time, right? And it's like plays he would look confused. Hopefully JPJ works on that too, because JPJ really had a really all pro season this year. Well, last year, you can say, y'all know what I'm saying when I say that. But it's like if he work on catching the football, JPJ could be really get the respect he deserves. And I think that's probably why people are like, nah, JPJ, he's not all of that, because he drops a lot of interceptions as well. But the guy can cover. He can cover. He got way better at tackling. That was something that he needed to improve on. In my opinion, and from a lot of people, that his tackling needed to be better. I saw him improve at all things. He just needs to work on catching the interception. So we'll see. But who else did we end up signing? It says that we have signed offensive lineman Brock Hoffman, right? Now I'm guessing this is a offensive guard. No, it's a center that can play guard, so he's versatile. And he was on the Cowboys, right? So, again, that's you need depth at these positions, so I'm not upset at that. And so far, I think that's about it. I don't know. I seen this that Kenny Pickett signed to the Carolina Panthers. How is Kenny Pickett still getting? My mic just fell. Guys, how is Kenny Pickett? And it's no disrespect. It's just a real honest question, bro. How is Kenny Pickett still getting deals and offers? Now, me asking that question is gonna, because like you'll see like a guy like Mitch Trubisky, who was the backup for the Buffalo Bills this past year. But it's like, bro, how is Kenny Pickett getting? How is he still getting offers, bro? What are these teams seeing that Kenny's doing? Yes, I understand that he won a Super Bowl, but he was a backup. Like, come on, y'all. He was a backup to Jalen Hurts, bro. It's like, what, like, I guess. I mean, if you're gonna say can't body, I guess. But so far, Kenny Pickett has played on 5 years in five. No, he's played on 5 teams in 5 years. I said that wrong. So when he's been in the NFL for 5 years, he's played on 5 teams. He was obviously drafted by the Steelers. Got traded to the Eagles. They got rid of him. He went to the Browns. They got rid of him. He went to the Raiders, and now he's on the Panthers. It's like, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, what else is there to look at? I think a signing that people are really sleeping on is definitely the Rico Dowdle, and Jamel Dean. Now, I expect Michael Pittman to obviously help DK Metcalf, so he's not getting doubled every single time. But I really believe that Rico Dowdle is going to be able to make some really good plays. Because if you look at his film, he runs tough. Like, he's not just some guy you're going to just tackle. Like, Rico's going to try to get the first down and more. He had a couple of plays like that on Carolina. Right? But it's like, and even Jamel Dean, he can play coverage, and he can play up close and man to man. It's like, me personally, I like corners that can press and play man to man. Like JPJ can do that. He's a man to man corner, right? I like a lot of man coverage. I don't like, let's play zone and let's get beat. Let's give it the first down. Okay, so hopefully Patrick Graham is gonna play a lot of man to man, because in my opinion, we have the personnel to do it. I mean, we have the personnel to do man to man or zone, but it's like, when you play man to man, you're basically saying, look, if the guy gets beat, he gets beat. If he shuts the guy down, he shuts the guy down. When you're playing zone, you're giving up 5 to 8 yards of cushion, right? And you're probably giving up a first down even more. So we'll see what happens there. But I really don't work Kirk Cousins. I really don't. And it's not a knock to Kirk Cousins. It's just like I said before, I've seen that story way too many times, and I don't like the outcome. I don't like the result, and I just don't want to see that happen again, bro. So that's my opinion on that. Do I think Mason Rudolph will be on this team next year? Yes. Camp body. And I've been saying this for the longest. He could probably beat out Will Howard. I don't know. I mean, Mason. I'm gonna be straight up with y'all when we talk about Mason Rudolph. Mason Rudolph is another guy that, if he's put in the right situation, you can have this argument for a lot of players. But I mean, like I just said, Anthony Richardson. He had talent around him, and he still is, just not planning out to be the quarterback that the coach probably wanted him to be. And literally, they have Daniel Jones who took his spot or something like that, right? But when I look at, for example, give me a second. I'm gonna take a sip of water real quick. But like I was saying, when I look at a guy like Mason Rudolph, has Mason Rudolph been given the tools around him his entire career? We understand when he got drafted, I believe in 2017. Ben, who's always been my quarterback since I was, like I said, watching this team. Ben didn't want to really show him or help him because Ben looked at it like, yo, he's trying to take my job. He's trying to replace me, yada, 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 right? So we understand that wasn't really a relationship and whatnot. And I think even Mason Rudolph said the same thing. You still had you had Randy Figner, which I don't know what he's doing. I don't even think he's coaching anymore. And you had Matt Canada. So those are two offensive coordinators that really are not, in my opinion, good, right? Well, anymore, right? To where, is that what Mason Rudolph needed to be? Is that the coaching he needed in order for him to be Mason Rudolph? In order for him to be successful, did it help him? I don't think it helped him at all. I think it was very vanilla. I think the play calling was soft, right? But Mason has had plays to where he can throw the ball down the field. He's had a strong throw here and there. He's not that most accurate quarterback, but he's been able to get rid of the ball and whatnot, right? He's got a little bit of mobility here and there, but it's like, you know what Mason Rudolph is. But I truly believe that, Mason, he has something. And that's just me. I don't think he's a franchise guy, but I don't think he's just a bad quarterback. Like, I tell people this all the time. I'm taking Mason Rudolph over Tua, who just signed to the Atlanta Falcons, which is hilarious, by the way. But yeah, I'm not, like I said, I feel like Mason Rudolph, given the right tools around him, given the right talent around him, can make plays. So if he's still on the team, which I expect him to be, because he's not going to cost us that much money. He's obviously a veteran. He's, been around this organization for some years now. So, he understands. So I wouldn't be upset with that. Now, Aaron Rodgers, I'm confused. I would like to see Aaron Rodgers go to a team like the Vikings. I feel like the team like the Vikings would be a better fit for him instead of just, let's keep signing with the Steelers. And it's like, bro, again, the Steelers right now don't even need Aaron Rodgers. And I'm gonna say this one thing about the ownership. I want to talk about this as well. I'm glad I kept remembering to talk about this. The ownership to me has been very concerning to me, right? And I'm talking about like the Rooneys and things like that. Because them saying they're waiting on a response from Aaron Rodgers is crazy to me. Do they not understand that Aaron Rodgers is 42, 43 years old? Why are we waiting on a response from a 42 or 43-year-old quarterback who's no longer mobile, right? Who took a lot of hits last year, right? In the pocket, because he cannot move in the pocket anymore. Saying, yo, that's the guy we're waiting on in order for us to make certain moves. Now, like I said, we out there making trades for guys like Michael Pittman and signing guys in free agency. That's great and all. But me personally, waiting on Aaron Rodgers is crazy work. Because I think he needs to retire, but I think he'll sign to a team like the Vikings because they have, obviously Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson. Like, they have players that if you put them on that team, and I know y'all probably like, what about JJ McCarthy? Let's be real here, bro. If you ask Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison, like, who would they rather have as their quarterback, they're going to pick Aaron Rodgers, bro. Aaron Rodgers is going to find a way to get in the ball. And that's the one thing I will say. Yes, Aaron Rodgers can definitely still throw the ball down the field. He can throw the ball. But he's not what we need And what, in my opinion, what the Steelers need is a quarterback that can be familiar with today's game. The NFL is fast. A lot of professional sports right now is fast paced, right? Aaron Rodgers is not fast anymore, okay? We need somebody that can move in the pocket. I'm not talking about a Lamar Jackson. I'm not. Like I said, Will Howard is 6'4". He's built like Josh Allen. He's mobile. Is Josh Allen Lamar Jackson? No. But Josh Allen, I think he led the NFL in rushing touchdowns last year, if I'm correct, or something like that. He can run to where if the pocket is collapsing, he can scramble and move. Even Ben could do that at some point. But to me, Will Howard is more athletic. Like, he's more of like, I can do like options with Will Howard, right? Just like how you could do with Josh Allen. You could do options with him too. But it's like that's the type of style of, in my opinion, that this offense needs. We're not an offense to where we got the best offensive line, right? We got the best weapons. Like, we're not that offense yet. So, like I said, that's why I don't want to see Aaron Rodgers back. Now, y'all could have y'all different opinion and a different approach, but me personally, it's like, how many times do you have to see that same story play out in the same outcome? So, I mean, like I said, I have my opinion. Y'all can have y'all's. Now, I will say this. Mike McCarthy. Yes, you are a former head coach of the Green Bay Packers. Yes, you defeated the Pittsburgh Steelers in Super Bowl, which I ended up crying that day. I think I was a kid back then. I was a kid because I think my uncle was like happy that we lost or something like that. Now, Mike McCarthy, yes, you, like I said, you are a former coach. You beat a Super Bowl. We understand you have connections with Aaron Rodgers, and I understand that some of y'all are going to probably say the same thing. Well, he used to coach A-Rod for the longest. Yeah, used to. The key word was used to. Aaron Rodgers is 42, 43 years old, bro. I don't care how long Mike McCarthy has had connections or coach Aaron Rodgers. Fries is how I look at it, bro. Fries. I would rather, again, and this is what I would want my team to do, give Will Howard a real chance. If it doesn't end up being the best idea, you probably still have Mason Rudolph, right? You'll probably get a decent draft pick, right? This upcoming class, which in my opinion I really don't want to have to rely on, is going to have a bunch of options at quarterback, if I'm correct, right? So it's not like, we let Will Howard play, it's the end of the world. Like I said, I feel like and this is the thing too, like, people are probably going to be like stunned if Will Howard like is our guy. I won't, because like I said, if you pay attention, like, he has things to where you can work with that. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously him being 6'4", he's tall, he's mobile, right? He's learning how to read defenses. Like, he's calling out play. Like, bro, these are things that you love to see from a quarterback. These are things that you can trust. The key word is trust a quarterback with, right? So it's like, I think Will Howard has something. I'm not going to say he's a franchise quarterback yet. I'm not going to say he's the guy, but I truly believe he has something that we haven't seen yet. And I think that is potential. I think he has very high potential. Granted, like I said, with around the right scheme, the right talent, the right play calling, I think he can be something. Now, will the Steelers draft a quarterback in this draft? They most definitely will. And it's probably going to be like in the late rounds. It's probably going to be a camp body. They're going to, especially if Aaron Rodgers announced his retirement, the Steelers are drafting a quarterback in the 6th, 7th round just for a camp body. Okay? Now, if Aaron Rodgers does return, this season will probably be like not really interesting. Now, yes, us having, more offensive firepower could be better, but it's like, bro, I've already seen this story. Y'all see where I'm coming from? So it's like, even if like you're winning games with Aaron Rodgers, it's like, well, what if we get in the playoffs? Then what? Can we do it when it matters the most? I hope they prove me wrong. I hope they actually can go out there and do. But it's like, bro, I'm just ready for us to give Will Howard a chance. That's what I'm ready for us to do. And I feel like if you disagree with that, you're not truly a fan. Now, some people like my pops is telling me like we wasn't around when the Steelers were like losing and things like that. And to me, it's like this is what, like I said, I'm a spoiled fan. Okay, I don't even like saying that anymore because we haven't won a playoff game since I was in middle school. I'm 24 years old now, so it's like I've witnessed us not getting it done. I've witnessed these seasons of really not improving. It's been the same story. So I won't even say like, well, bro, like y'all haven't even realized that you can go through worse. It's like, gang, I've seen what I'm seeing right now from this football team in these recent years is not even an improvement or worse. It's just that we're stuck. We're stuck, and it's because we needed to go in a different route. So, like I said, if they even bring back Aaron Rodgers, it's probably going to be the same outcome. And like I said, it's going to be a bad look because what if Will Howard is the guy? This entire time, he's the guy, but we want to still use a 42, 43 Aaron Rodgers. When you had a guy on the roster, that is the guy. And again, if you don't believe in Will Howard, that's your opinion. But the guy hasn't even played yet. So how can we have that opinion? Well, he went in the 6th round. A lot of Brock Purdy, as far as I'm concerned, he was the last pick of the draft. Now, is Brock Purdy a franchise quarterback? I disagree. I don't think he is. Okay. And again, I think he's from that same quarterback class that Kenny Pickett was in. Brock Purdy is surrounded in the perfect system for him. If you take Brock Purdy and put him on the Jets, I think he plays totally different. Hold on, give me a second. Pretty sure we said bless you right there. But like I was saying, Brock Purdy is a system guy. Like I said, when he's not surrounded with all of the high-end players of Brandon Ayuk, George Kittles, the Deebo Samuels, it's a different look on how he's going to play. You can have an argument for a lot of players, but a lot of people were saying like, oh, nah, Brock Purdy is, he's the 49ers, you know, he's Mr. Irrelevant. He's their star and whatnot. It's like, no, I disagree. I feel like Shanahan deserves a lot of the credit because when you have guys like, again, I didn't even mention Christian McCaffrey, who's really that's their best player on offense is Christian McCaffrey, right? It's like Brock Purdy doesn't have all the pressure on him because he's surrounded by a lot of talent and the play calling is phenomenal, right? So like I said before, if you have the right pieces and you have the right coaching, it can work. So I think with a player like Will Howard can do very similar things that Brock Purdy did. And like I said, you don't necessarily have to be a superstar. Now, if he is, that would be phenomenal, right? If Will Howard is even a star or even a Pro Bowler, that's even phenomenal, right? But it's like, look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold isn't a star, in my opinion. He's not a franchise guy. He did what he needed to do, and he won a Super Bowl. He got it done. That's all that matters. History. So it's like, you necessarily don't even need some top 5 guy. You just need somebody that can do what you need them to do. And I truly believe if this offense is an improvement and we trust and give Will Howard a chance, that he's going to go shock some people. Right? Now, we don't know what's going to happen. As far as I'm concerned, they probably going to mess around and re-sign Aaron Rodgers. Go with what we have right now and continue to keep saying that, oh, well, we want Will Howard to learn. How many years do you want him to learn? Because if you're going to say, because I think right now Will Howard's my age, right? I think he's 24 or 25. If you're going to say, well, we want him to keep learning, if he's about 27 and entire time he's the guy, you pretty much wasted everything. Now you're going to say, well, 27 is still young. It's like, bro, the point is you chose a young quarterback, right, who clearly could be the guy, right? Over a 43-year-old. Yes, who is going to be a first ballot Hall of Fame. We get all of that. But it's like, bro, that's going to be a bad look. It's because Aaron Rodgers is 43, 42 or something like that. So it's like, if you make that decision, I don't think it's going to end well. So like I said, I would like to see us go in that route of seeing what Will Howard has for us, man. Is going to fall in the draft. If that happens and he's at pick 21, I would only do it if Jordan Tyson's not available. If Jordan Tyson's not available and Carnell Tate's available, I'm going Carnell Tate. Well, Jamie, we just signed Michael Pittman Jr. You're absolutely correct. Keep in mind, he's 28 years old. You still need young talent on this team. Don't get it messed up. You know what I'm saying? So, would not be disappointed in that. Now, I think this is the last thing I want to talk about, and I'm probably going to get up out of here, or, we'll talk about something else. Y'all probably wondering, why am I not talking about Makai Lemon? Well, I believe Makai Lemon is 5'10", 5'11". I want another tall weapon, okay? Pause when I say that. To me, Makai Lemon's a slot guy. There's a reason why he's compared to Amar St. Brown, because he's the perfect slot wide receiver, right? Again, even the scouts have been saying this. So it's not like I'm just hating or I'm projecting or I know what he is. As long he can mess around and be the best receiver in this draft. I mean, we don't know what's gonna happen. I'm just going off of based on, how he is, not how he is, but how, I don't know how to say this because, it's kind of crazy to say, but the player build that he has, being 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", not the biggest target, to me is not like if Makai Lemon was 6'2", he'd be getting the same hype as Jordan Tyson, in my opinion, because he has the route running, he has the speed, he has the good hands, right? The catching ability, but it's like the height is the concern there, right? Only if you want to play him outside, in my opinion. Like if you're gonna play him in the slot, then the height's not an issue because you can always get guys, going or finding ways to get them involved in the slot. Okay, so we'll see what happens there. But like I said, I've been watching a lot of Jordan Tyson highlights, man. Like Jordan Tyson's his route run, like I said, the route running is there, the speed is there, the catching is there. It's like there's no way he falls to pick 21, right? But we'll see what the Steelers do, man. I want to end this video off by saying this because we done covered everything I want to talk about. I get a lot of DMs from people on them saying, like, have I ever dealt with some weird behavior as a content creator or just being in other people's communities? And yes, I have. Okay. I have, and at the end of the day, all you can do is just be who you are. And what I mean by that is people will talk about you behind your back. And this is not a shot to people that y'all think I'm talking about. Y'all don't even know the person I'm talking about. But T knows if she sees this video. Like, people will literally, because T literally, and again, shout out to T, by the way, shout out to Big Sis, because she's seen everything, okay? When I mean by everything, like how I met T through, like, Twitch and another person's community, like, from being, like, to where nobody's typing to where me and T are the only ones in there watching. That's how long me and T have known each other. It's been a very long time. So T even was like, yo, you don't even know, like, you're showing mad love to these people and they don't even give a fuck about you. And it's not even care about you. It's they're not giving you the same respect or love that you showed them, right? And what I dealt with, and it's not what I dealt with, what I seen was this person went to go. I've never in my life went to T. The only time I went to T and talked about somebody was when I got banned out of a chat that I was trolling in. I was trolling in a chat one day, and people got emotional and they banned me from the chat. So I messaged T and I was like, yo, I like there's no reason that I got banned for that. And I had a conversation with T and things like that. But I was never like dissing anybody. I was just telling, because T was like, yo, what happened? Right? But this situation, because I literally had to, I was on my social media, I had to clip on my social media. As much as I didn't want to do it, it had to be done. You can't trust people that will, and the most disappointing thing was this person, instead of them telling me straight up, they had to go text T this and basically go behind my back and talk about me, right? Like on some like childish shit. So it was really like, wow, like you couldn't even just tell me that you had to go behind my back and talk. But it's like, bro, I don't let it affect me. Y'all clearly seen like I still be uploading on my channel. You can't let that stuff bother you at the end of the day. You just gotta keep being you, because that's the thing. Like people, that's how it is. Like when you want people to win, they don't really, in my opinion, approach it as like that's a real person. They approach it as who cares. And it might sound crazy, but that's the reality, because like I said, I have never done that. Especially if I rock with you, even if like you got into it with somebody that like I was cool with, right? I'm not gonna all of a sudden like, oh, since you got into it with so and so, like I don't rock with you no more. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Whatever y'all had going on, so I'm gonna leave that alone. You see what I'm saying? But it was like T was like, yo, like I gotta tell you this, because if I don't tell you this, it's wrong for me keeping this from you. You shown all this love to so and so, right? And this is how they really feel about you. This is how they really honestly think of who you are. And it was very like crazy, bro. To go behind my back and talk about me. But like I said, it didn't really faze me. Like I said, y'all still see me uploading on this channel. I'm still doing me. And then one thing I want to say is this: the new Cyberpunk game, I'm loving that game, y'all. Now, yes, I've only played it twice. I had to get this video done, so probably the next stream I do is gonna be a Cyberpunk stream, which y'all been seeing. We've been streaming that game for some hours. One thing I like about that game is it reminds me of a GTA, like how the game is, like on how like the style of the game is. But there's a lot to do, like, and there's a lot of interesting things to do, whether it's missions or anything. Like, it's very interesting and it's very futuristic, so it's not like boring. You know, it's a lot of cool things in the game, so I'm really excited about that. But I had to get this video done because I feel like I haven't like talked about the Steelers in a very, very long time. So that's what this video was about. But yeah, I don't let nothing bother me, y'all. I just, of course, like I said, anything's on my mind, I'm gonna speak about it, I'm gonna talk about it. Like again, I'm gonna answer this question. Somebody said like, yo, what happened to you talking about Battlefield 6? Like, you ain't dropped that video. Battlefield disappointed me. I'm gonna be real with y'all, bro. They disappointed me. Now, like I said, now that I'm just going off things on my mind right now, I'm gonna just say this. When Battlefield first came out, I was giving them all the hype and credit. But when I did my research and I realized that not only they had better Battlefield games out, because this is the first ever Battlefield game I've ever played, right? I realized that EA was lazy. And it wasn't surprising, because we just talked about EA Sports the other day, what they do in Ultimate Team in these games in general. It's pay to win. But it's like they only put one new map in because for some reason they wanted to put seasons into the game too. Why does every game have to have seasons all of a sudden, bro? Why? It's not good. It doesn't work. It does not get the player to want to keep playing. And let alone, you only added one new map onto the game. That's lazy. I was even telling this to my brother. I couldn't believe they only added one new map. I was going to really drop, and I'm glad I didn't drop the Battlefield video either, right? Because I was going to drop a video of giving Battlefield their credit, saying, yo, look, this game is fun. You know, it's enjoyable. Whole entire time, it's a disappointment. And it's not like, oh, well, that's just your opinion. No, it's a disappointment, bro. EA was lazy with that game. But it's like, are we surprised? No, it's EA Sports at the end of the day. So it's like I'm not even surprised with that. And I really don't want to see EA make another Battlefield game, um, because their mindset of just pay to win is a problem, and people are acting like it's just the reality, and it shouldn't be. But it's becoming so much of a, like, how EA is, to where, well, that's what they do. Everything's pay to win, and that shouldn't be the case. I don't want to see seasons in Battlefield. I don't want to see seasons in Madden. I really don't. Even Ultimate Team had seasons. Like, bro. But that's that. And then I'm gonna answer this question in my DMs. Why haven't I played Madden or streamed Madden? I deleted Madden. Yes, I deleted Madden. You're looking at a lot of old footage right now. Why did I delete Madden? I think I explained this. When you're no money spent, especially on a mode like Ultimate Team, and again, EA being lazy with their product by getting rid of certain, modes in the games like Draft Champions and Salary Cap, which were balanced modes, it's very boring in my opinion. And like I said, when you're no money spent and they're dropping all these cards, and I only pulled one LTD the whole year, you can't really keep up with, competing on Ultimate Team. So I just deleted the game. I don't miss it. If I were to download it back, I would probably do like a franchise. Now, T was telling me the other day that she would be interested in, like, yo, like, what if we did an online franchise? Now, I did tell T, I was like, I would be down to do it. But the thing is, when I do online franchises, I don't like waiting on other people. I'm ready to move. Like, everybody should be playing their game at the same time. I'm not like, oh, we got everybody to play the game. We got to wait on such and such. Like, that's the only issue. Now, I don't know. Maybe I still might do it. Maybe me and T might do our own, online franchise to where she has a team, I have a team. It's just 2 people, or it could be 3 people. I don't know. Because people in my community that I talk to on a daily, that they have free time. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe we can do something like that. Maybe I could stream it. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section what y'all would like to see. But it's like, we have to now be more creative than just relying on these games to be what they're supposed to be, because these games are lazy now, and it's just unfortunate. Which I'm gonna probably try to talk to T later on today about that, because depending on if we can get people that will actually play and actually, wanting to make changes, like, for example, like being a coach of an organization or a franchise or an owner, and you're able to make trades, things like that, it can be very interesting and very cool, right? But it's like, we have to get the right people to do it. So we'll see what happens. I'll probably do my own franchise alone. I'll probably obviously have Will Howard as the quarterback. I'll probably do the draft and everything like that. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, that's really all I wanted to cover. We talked Steelers for about an hour. We talked, the coaching, what we did, again, shout out to Mike Tomlin for the 19 years. Never had a losing season. That is, Hall of Fame status right there. I don't care how much times we lost in the playoffs. We've never had a losing season under Mike Tomlin. That is historic. I don't think no other coach will ever achieve that, ever. I think that's only his achievement. No other coach will ever do that. 19 straight seasons without a losing season. That's spectacular. That's, Hall of Fame worthy. That is Hall of Fame worthy. But like I was saying, we talked Steelers for about an hour. We talked about some other things as well. I mean, I hope y'all enjoy. I mean, I think my mic did go out a couple of times here and there, but at the end of the day, I did what I could. I said what needed to be said, and I feel like this is gonna be a good video. So let me know if you about this in the comment section, and yeah, man. Hopefully, about the next time we do a Steelers video, we'll probably do. I don't know if I want to do a mock draft, because if I do a mock draft, I'm gonna be disappointed, and the reason why I feel I'll be disappointed, I'm gonna the players I'm going to select will be the players that we're not even going to have a chance at getting. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's not like I would do some unrealistic mock drafts where I'm going to trade, because I don't even want to trade them. I'm even to the point to where we trade back, I'll be cool with that. Especially if guys like Carno Tate and Jordan Tyson are not available. I might be looking to trade back. If a team says, yo, we'll give you a second round pick this year, or or we'll give you a third round of this year just to swap. I might look into do that because I think we already had like 3 third-round picks, right? But we'll see what happens. My point is, I don't know if I'm doing a mock draft on here because I don't want to make myself disappointed and get myself excited. Pause simply because the players that I did in my mock draft are the players that we did not even end up getting. So I don't know. Maybe like I said, the next time I do a Steelers video, we'll be talking about the draft and like I might obviously like the first day I'm gonna do a recap. Second day we'll probably be live streaming for that stuff. I might live stream during the draft though for real. I might actually do that. You know, it could be something very interesting to see. It could be see where we actually the moves that we go after or the positions we go after. But we'll see what happens, bro. But like I said, other than that, I didn't mean to even click on that. But other than that, it's your boy J Man. We sign out of here, chat. You already know the vibes, man. Glove Motion, all 2026. Had to get that video out there for y'all. We talked still for about an hour and almost 30 minutes. But yeah, man, at this point, now I'm finna go and take a break. I do want to make another video. This one has to do with content creation and gaming. So yeah. Well, no, content creation is streaming. So yeah, I'll probably see y'all in the next one. For the ones who are gonna say, "How are you not tired?" Just did an hour and 30-minute video, like it was nothing. Like I said, when you love to do something, it doesn't become a tiring thing. It becomes normal because this is something that you like to do, right? So me making videos for about an hour or just talking for about an hour, it becomes normal. Have I had moments to where I'm talking over my words or I'm stuttering? Absolutely, I'm human. It's gonna happen. Nobody's perfect. But the point is, how am I able to still keep going? How am I able to still keep posting? I love to make content. I love to make videos. I love to be myself. I love to speak what's on my mind, right? Other than that, like I said, man, y'all make sure y'all take care of yourselves. Y'all make sure y'all stay hydrated. Y'all make sure y'all do the right things. Y'all make sure y'all chase y'all goals. Y'all make sure y'all stay consistent at the end of the day. Like I said, if you're still here, show why you're still here, but just make sure it's a positive thing at the end of the day. But other than that, I'm signing out of here, y'all. Jamin signing out. Peace. And one thing, go Steelers. Forever, for life. You know what I'm saying? Steelers Nation for life. You know what I'm saying?